everyone. Welcome to this week's Karma Cards. So, energetically speaking, it's a kind of a quieter time. We don't have big movements happening right now in the skies. Venus did recently transition into the sign of Leo. So, the way that we value things, the way we love is definitely going to be more demonstrative. I feel when Venus is in the sign of Leo, there's lots of displays of affection, lots of desire to be generous. Leo is a sign of generosity, and Venus loves to be generous and lavish attention, as well as receive attention, and so does Leo. So a lot of like loving exchanges or big gestures in love might start happening during this time. So we want to look at those relationships, especially intimate relationships, is where we will definitely see that trend. Another thing that's happened this week on June 6th, the 6/6 portal, we had a timeline jump. And how do we know that? So the timeline jump, first of all, anytime we have a portal, that's an opening, an opportunity to create a shift. And what we look at the Schumann resonance itself, so the machines that measure the electromagnetic field of the earth, right? The machines are like seismographic machines that show you how intense the electromagnetic field is. They go through these periods of blackout that's unexplainable. We don't know why there's a blackout. And many intuitives have picked up that is like a timeline jump. So now we all just kind of collectively agree that when we see these big bars of black on the Schumann resonance, readouts, that means a timeline jump. And it just is so auspicious that it happened on the 6/6 portal. So portal opens, we have a timeline jump. I feel like it is to a higher timeline. I feel like all the time we're recalibrating collectively. So it's not like something moves us, it's us collectively making a decision to move. We're ready. We've timed ourselves in such a way collectively that we're ready to make this shift, and it allows us to shift up higher. And it's beautiful because it goes along with, we get all this solar activity that is helping us to create the biological ascension happening in the body, as well as the spiritual ascension. And so it's like we get this re-up of energy. It helps us make all of these shifts internally, and then collectively we're ready to shift up to a higher dimension, and that's when we make those timeline jumps. So one just happened. Hopefully you're feeling the benefits of that. Maybe things feel easier, lighter. Maybe they make more sense. Maybe you're finding the ability to stay grounded or calm or in tune with yourself much easier. And I wish that for you. And on that note, the message today from the team is about understanding where you are in the cycle of transformation. Look who you haven't seen in a while. This Skippy's back. He wanted to say hi. He wanted to support you on your journey of personal transformation. Look at that. He's a man. So the message today is about your personal transformation, where you're coming from. And there's a beautiful message in the Medicine Cards deck. I highly recommend this deck. This deck's been around for decades now, but it is such a good deck, and it's the animal messengers, also called the Medicine Cards. And what we're looking at here is a passage about butterfly. Butterfly is about transformation. And in this passage, it talks about recognizing the stages of personal transformation and using butterfly as an example of what those stages look like. So it's important to see transformation not as a destination, but as a cycle in and of itself. You will never stop transforming. Even as we transcend this realm and go to the next, we're on a path of evolution and growth. In fact, the whole universe, the way it's designed by Source, is the path of evolution. That's what Source wants the most, is to evolve. So expansion and evolving is the nature of the universe. We never stop transforming. Once you transform into the next version of yourself, you're already on the journey of your next evolution or transformation. So the message today is about recognizing where you're at in your current cycle of transformation, because it can be so easy to recognize what you want to transform into and then sort of demand of yourself to be there already. Like I already have to be there. If I'm going to be more brave, as an example, then I need to be brave now. And it's important to know that the decision or the inception of what am I transforming into is stage one, right? That is like with the butterfly, that would be like the egg stage. It's the intention or the inception of an idea. And it's easy for the mind to want to leap to idea to finished product, and that's not how it works. So first we got to determine, are you in an inception point right now? Did you just recognize this is something that I want to transform, or this is what I want to move to? For example, maybe you're dealing with trying to let go of lack thinking, and you want to move into a person who is confident in their sense of abundance, that there's more than enough and there will always be more than enough. Well, you can't just go from I feel everything's lacking or I'm missing something to instant abundance. You'd want to determine, did I just make this decision? Am I now aware of it? That would be an inception point, or we could call it the egg stage. But the next stage after the idea arrives is the larva stage. And this stage is really about pondering, do I have to make a different decision now? So once we know what I want, so let's say I'm going from lack to abundance, and that's the inception or the egg stage. Now in the larva stage, we have to make a decision. Do I have to do something different? Do I continue this behavior? Do I continue going along and just hope that I get over to abundance, or do I need to make some kind of shift? And so it's really a contemplation, kind of reflective. We're looking at ourselves, we're looking at how we're thinking, and we're trying to determine if this is still the path to go on, or if there's actually another path to choose. Then the third stage is, once you've determined that, this is the cocoon stage. This is where the development into the way of being you need to be. So many times when we're talking about energy and manifesting and creating, what we know is we have to be a vibrational match to that which we want to create. So if you're a person who has struggled with lack for so long, you're going to have to create the cocoon that allows you to develop into the person with the abundance mindset. You just can't attract abundance from lack. It's not a vibrational match. So we have to cocoon and develop into the person that is a vibrational match to abundance. We have to look at our thinking, we have to look at our actions, we have to look at our feelings around it, our behavior. All of these have to be looked at and adjusted and slowly developed and matured into the version of ourselves that we're trying to become. It's not an instant process. It's a layered process, and it requires. And what you find when you're in the cocooning stage is that you will achieve sort of a awareness, maybe even mastery over certain parts of your thinking, but it's still active in areas that you didn't even think connected to your transformation. So you might think like, okay, I'm working on my feelings of abundance with money, and I'm looking at that now, and I'm starting to recognize that, every time money goes out, it comes back in. Money's a cycle, it's a circle, it's energetic, it's about exchange, and you're getting clearer on that. You might start to master your thoughts about money, but then you find that you always feel lack when it comes to the food in your house, or the home you live in, or the furniture, or the clothes you have. Like, you didn't realize that there was lack thinking in other places. Like, a small example of this would be like your socks, right? Maybe you're a person who, like, even after you get a hole in your sock, you keep wearing it. The sock's uncomfortable. It's really not doing the job it's supposed to. And maybe you darn it, but another sock gets in, or something like that. But the idea here is that you're afraid to buy new socks because you don't want to waste, and these are technically still good, right? And so that's a type of lack. It's an inability to accept that matter is finite, and it does come to an end, and you will have to replenish. if that's not, if the abundance thinking isn't coming in there, like I deserve to have socks that fit well and are functional and feel good, then all we're doing is we're still in a type of lack. And in the cocoon phase, that's where that all happens, that all that awareness, all the adjustment and seeing where the frequencies have been hidden happens in this cocooning stage. Again, still not the process where you're like, okay, I'm in the abundance frequency, I'm totally through the transformation. You're deep inside of transformation, and you're actually, this is the working stage of transformation. And that might be where you're at, where it's like you keep working on it. You're like, oh man, every time I think I've captured this, every time I feel like I've got a hold of this, I discover it's still lurking in another corner of my mind. There's other areas that this frequency, whether it's lack or something else, is attached to. And so that stage can be very difficult because it feels almost like a never-ending process. Like, will I ever be a person who is in alignment with the frequency of abundance? Will I ever be the person that's on the other side of this? The cocoon stage is one of the most difficult, and is the most difficult for the butterfly itself, because the butterfly literally melts down. It liquefies. It has to, so that the next version of it can spring forth. It's not a caterpillar with wings, it's a butterfly. It's transformed, right? So this is the stage where I feel like if self-doubt were to rear its head, it's here in the cocooning stage. And I want you to just take a moment and think about the ways in which you're trying to transform, whether it's to have more trust in yourself or others, whether it's to feel more secure in yourself, feel more abundant, be more confident, whatever it is, feel more magnetic. If you're in the cocoon stage, that's, if you're feeling self-doubt about that subject, whatever you're transforming in, that's a hint that you're in the cocoon stage, because it means I've been working on it and I get a little progress, but I keep finding ways in which it's still active in my life. And it's easy to fall prey to the false thinking that you're not doing it. You are doing it, but it's the work stage. And so if you find yourself there, this is a great opportunity to recognize that you're doing great. This is how it works. This is what the work looks like. And there's no reason to doubt yourself or put yourself down or think that you cannot achieve a transformation, because you're actually in the middle of it. We would never crack open a chrysalis, right? In the middle of a butterfly's transformation, we would kill the butterfly. So it requires patience and faith on our part. And if you want to hear more about that, check out the last Karma Cards video I did about deep commitment and faith. That should really get your engine going if you need a little help in that department. So the last stage of a butterfly transformation is the birth stage, right? And again, this stage is also one that takes a while, because just like the butterfly, as it cracks out of its chrysalis, it had to work really hard to crack out of it, first of all. So, and it's all by design, because this is what gives the butterfly strength. Without the challenge of piercing the shell, it wouldn't have the strength it needs to live the next version of its life. So it breaks through a very tough shell. It has to pause a lot, has to pant, and then, once it gets all of its wings out, it has to get them to dry off and unfold, and that's a process as well. If you're in the birth stage, that's when the outside world starts reflecting it back to you. And usually what you'll find is, at some point in that birth stage or after, you're going to have people asking you, how did you do it? That's when you know you've made the full transformation, is when other people are like, wow, you are so secure when it comes to finances and money, and you seem to always attract abundance. How do you do it? How did you do that? So if you're starting to hear that, if people are asking you, how did you do blank, then you know you have completed this part of your transformation cycle, that you are now seen as the butterfly. And that not only that, but that you're also moving into the role of a teacher. because, or the role of, in the tarot, would be the hermit, right? The humanitarian who's gone through the cycle and can now pass the knowledge down to somebody else, which is probably the highest level of service you could give to someone after going through a transformation, is to turn around and teach someone else or show someone else that it's possible, or share the information if it's asked of you. So I hope this information about understanding personal development, transformation, helps you understand that, just because the idea came or the inspiration is there for you, you might be at a specific part of the cycle, and all parts are necessary, and no part is better than the other, because no part can exist without the other. So wherever you're at is a perfect place to be. And the faith that you have in yourself and your ability to transform is especially helpful when you're in the working stages of it. And I know that all of us are in some stage of transformation, whether we have just come out of our transformation cycle, or we're about to head into another one, or that we're deep in the work. You're somewhere inside a transformation cycle, and now you can find that peace and understanding that this is a process and not a destination, and that means you can enjoy it all the more, knowing you are going to get where you're meant to go. And with that, let's check out this week's karma card. If you're new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks, planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology, and I've already asked my team what is the message for this week, and I have got 2 sets of answers, a set in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you tune in with your beautiful intuition and feel, what advice are you looking for at this time? Are you looking for actions on how to move forward? Or are you more interested in outcomes and how things resolve? And of course, you can always choose both. While you're choosing, let me tell you the timing for this reading. This reading is for June 8th through June 15th. And the flavor of this reading, we've got Jupiter, which is the evolution expansion planet, very appropriate for this, in the sign of Capricorn, which represents the work we do in the 8th house, which is the house where transformation lives. So this reading is so in tune with this message. I can't wait to hear what it has to say. All right, for those who are choosing action, your spiritual action at this time is to learn or teach your goals as a life or death issue. So what I'm getting from this with the learn or teach, I'm getting that actually there is something you have transformed into. And it's, now that I think about like the energy update with this timeline shift, some transformation has just reached its apex, and you are at a birth stage somewhere. There's something for you to share with people about what you have moved through recently. Like something has clicked for you. Maybe take time to think about it. It's letting you know that like this is key information. Even if you just tell one person, you have no idea the impact of sharing that knowledge about something you've moved through. So if it's not right at the front of your head what that is, take a moment to meditate on it. Consider what it is. Where, if you could say you were at the butterfly stage of the transformation cycle, so your wings are spread totally out and you get it now, what is that? Share it with someone who's interested. Share that information with them. This is key right now, and it's going to help trigger or expand you and the other person as well. Mental action at this time, be positive about the day-to-day reality of getting and using power. So self-awareness is such a strong form of power, right? When we're aware of where we're at in the cycle, that gives us the ability to move forward with confidence and purpose. And that is what I'm getting from this right now. So be aware of where you're at in the cycle, right? And this can be tricky, I think, for some people, because some egos like to cut themselves down, right? Some people's egos just love to underestimate, minimize, and cut itself down. So if that's you, if you notice that your ego tends to cut you down more than it overinflates you, be aware of that and try to use that in your reasoning of, where am I at in this cycle? Because that self-awareness of wherever you're at, so powerful. It can help you make decisions instantly if you've been in a state of confusion. What that shows is a lack of self-awareness. And as you get that self-awareness, then it's like, oh, okay. Oh, well, if that's the stage I'm at, then I can do X as I move forward, right? So that's what we're talking about right now. Physical action at this time: grow and expand, use the most business-like way, and use other people's resources. So again, remember the first message was whatever you have successfully transformed into, get conscious of it, share that information. Other people will be doing this too. That's going to be reciprocal. That's the energy that's kind of going around. People are going to have these aha, self-awareness, and hopefully they'll be sharing it. So it might be a person in your life directly, might be someone that you're watching like on YouTube, or you see it on social media, or read a book, something's coming in that's going to trigger more growth and expansion in you. And it's the most business-like way is for me, feels like also the most intentional way. Like I'm the business-like way okay, so Capricorn is an earth sign. It's not waiting for the universe to drop it in its lap. It's going right towards it. It's like, okay, what do I want? I want to be more abundant. Where can I go to get that information? Well, I could go to Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Go right there. That would instantly help you grow and expand. And that book is another person's resource, right? So they're asking you to think about, how are you going to grow and expand? What do you want to expand into? What's a resource that you could tap into? Tap into it now. It could be someone like your dad, could be a book, like I said, there's so many ways to use other people's resources. And the most business-like way is the most shrewd way. I'm thinking about, how do I get this now? Not when will it be given to me? I know for me, I love it when the universe drops it into my lap, but at the same time, the universe doesn't always do that. Why? Because that's you waiting on something else to fix, save, change, grow you. One of the resources that you have that might be most underused is you. How can I, right? So as we want to be open to receiving guidance from the universe, but we also want to be proactive enough to seek it for ourselves. All right, so now let's take a look at the outcomes with Jupiter and Capricorn in the 8th house of transformation. And the spiritual outcome at this time is the granting of dedication to achieve personal power. And again, in this case, the personal power we're talking about is that self-awareness of knowing where I'm at. It's kind of like seeing yourself on a map, right? Imagine that before you have self-awareness, you're looking at a map of places you could go, but you don't know your start point. So I know my destination, but I don't know where I'm starting from. And that leads to a sense of confusion. You don't know how to make a choice. You don't know what the best choice is because you don't know where you are. So in this case, that self-awareness of where I'm at in a cycle is like dropping a pin on a map and showing you your start point. Well, as soon as you see that, now you know, okay, I can go this way or that way, or take this mode of transportation to get there. All the decisions that need to happen to move you forward happen once you have that self-awareness. So that's coming in right now. That dedication to figure out where you are, that map, the pin being dropped onto the map, that's coming in right now. Mental outcome at this time: blessings from focusing on the mysteries of life. So the mysteries of life is in the house of transformation, right? So what's really interesting with transformation is that it is a co-creation. It's you deciding, but also allowing the higher power in to start shaping this for you. So it's interesting because my team used to talk about it like getting into an Uber. They'd be like, when you work with God, the universe, source energy, when you're working with this force, it's like you called God's Uber and the Uber's picked you up. Now, you are the navigator. You're telling source where I want to go. This is where I want to go. This is where I'd like to head. But you're letting God drive. You are letting this higher power lead you in the right direction. We're trusting that it knows the best roads, the right traffic, knows what's going on, like that the driver is tuned in. You are the passenger in this case. So it's an interesting combination of both leading and surrendering at the same time, and knowing when to do what, right? Knowing that, okay, I've given all I can and I let go and I let God. If this is supposed to go this way, I give it over and it will happen, right? So that's what it's talking about right now, is like understanding that co-creative process of transformation, expansion, and development, that it's part you, part higher power, and it's kind of knowing where you're at in the moment. Like I can call, that's my job. I can say where, that's my job. I can get in the vehicle, that's my job. But as soon as this vehicle starts going and driving, I'm not holding onto the steering wheel. I'm not trying to get my foot on the gas. I'm not trying to do that. I am allowing the process to unfold. I'm having faith in the process, and I'm having trust in this higher power. It's going to take me exactly where I'm supposed to go. Physical outcome at this time: good fortune resulting from the rules imposed by a major change. And the rules imposed by the major change are literally sort of the steps that we talked about, right? Just because I came up with the idea doesn't mean I've got it. There's steps involved, and that's the rules of a major change or a transformation, right? First, again, let's go through it. It's like the egg stage, where it's the idea; the larva stage, where it's about making decisions about how we move forward; the chrysalis stage or the cocoon stage is the work stage, and how we kind of do, we look for all the ways in which we can get in alignment, and we're shown ways that we haven't even seen yet. And then finally, the birth stage, where we can reveal the transformation and then share the information with others. And so if you trust this process, and it's the natural process, it's the way it's going to be, whether you trust it or not, that's a transformation stage. So if you trust the process, it's going to bring you the good fortune that you're seeking. It's going to bless you in going through it. And the self-awareness about where you're at in the process, like I said, is like the pin being dropped on the map. It's going to help you have clarity, help you know, oh, okay, that's where I am, and now that's how I move forward. And with that, I hope you have an amazing week. Sending you so much love. Mwah.